I think one of the slides that does a really good job of understanding India is the India stack, right? Which is
Yeah.
basically India one Alpha, India 1, India 2, India 3. And I remember reading something like this back in the day, where independently India 1, India 2, India 3 are some of the countries put together, like Mexico, Philippines, Indonesia. Some of these countries can reside within those India 1, India 2, India 3. That's how vast the market is, and therefore you can't really generalize the market in India. You really have to stack it up. Tell us a little bit about India 1, India 2, India 3, especially from a venture capitalist sort of lens, also on what kind of action you're seeing for India 1, India 2, India 3. Is the India 1 story done over the last 10 years, where the e-commerce, fintech, SaaS play that's happened? Is the focus more on India 2, India 3 now? Tell us a little bit about that.
I just want to add to this question slightly. Sajith, you just spoke about frameworks, right? And frameworks are super important to help us understand the world that we are living in.
Yeah.
And this particular framework that you have made of India Alpha, right? That's the one that you start off with. India Alpha, the super westernized ones who have a lot of money. India Alpha, India 1, India 2, India 3. That is a framework that helps you understand and invest and build businesses really well. So tell us about this framework
Yeah.
and tell us how we can use this framework to make our own decisions on building our own businesses, investing in companies, and just thinking about which which business can succeed and which maybe cannot.
So I first encountered the term India 1, India 2 on a book by Kishore Biani called "It Happened in India." It's a great book, uh, slightly dated, but of course it's still relevant. And after that, I came across the term India 1 2 3 again in an article by Harish Chavla. But I think within the startup world, I think there's an article that I wrote in 2018 called India 2: English Tax and Building for the Next Billion, where this framework was really used in this context of the stack. And it had a lot of data to it. And what I'd done was I had looked at India 1 as a Mexico, right? Very similar, 100 million population, 1 trillion economy, etc. India 2 as Philippines, which is 100 million again, which is, and it's sort of the India that has come onto the internet over the last 4 or 5 years, right? They include the Uber drivers, possibly our drivers, our maids, urban maids, okay? And then also, for example, the gig economy folks, right? The person who gets us the Zomato delivery, all of that. All of them have come aboard the internet over the last 5 years, thanks to what Geo unleashed. Uh, and India, and that kind of, it's like Philippines, like a Philippine sized economy, which was 300, 350 billion. And really the last was India 3, which is sub-Saharan Africa, effectively minus South Africa. And sort of like a very vast country by itself, but very small economy, exactly almost the size of India 1, but 12 times the population, sort of. So I think what these, call it metaphors, frameworks, what they do is they simplify the world, right? The map is not the world, but the map is a great kind of a simplifier of the world. And I think a lot of the startup founders have really appreciated this framework. And it also now it's possible to kind of look at some of the place in terms of which country they occupy. And if you take Cred, for example, and okay, before that there's a sub segment of India 1, which I call India 1 Alpha, which is sort of the world of Netflixes and Starbucks coffees and what Apple iPhones and what have you. So so this westernized world is like a subset of India 1. And India 1 is about 25 to 30 million households. This would be about 8 to 10 million households. And so if you look at Cred, for example, Cred inhabits India 1 Alpha, right? India 1 is really, I would say, much of startups in India kind of inhabit India 1. Effectively, Flipkart is kind of navigated to India 2, but it began in India 1, really. Okay. And when it kind of hit the limits of India 1, it said, now let's bring India 2 aboard. Misho kind of started in India 2. Okay. And now probably will try and expand to India 1 as well with this recent this thing. But a lot of the brands as we know it, whether it's a Dunzo, whether it's a Big Basket, whether it's a Lenscart, 90% of the brands, startup brands that we know, live in India one. And this is one of the most interesting things you'll find, that when you actually look at data, right? Look at credit card data. 35 million people own credit cards in India. Okay, that's it. 3.5 crore people out of 130 crore population or 140 crore population. The number of international flyers will be about two-thirds of this. Um, for example, number of car owners, and this is incredibly interesting. The number of car owning households are at about 30 million, like just 30 million households, right? That's the limit of India one. So sort of, and car ownership is a great proxy for middle class. So middle class in India is very tiny, and much of startup India really focuses on India one. But in the last few years, there has been a desire to kind of cater to the next billion, the next 100 million, 200 million. And sort of the higher valuations have gone to startups which are able to kind of show the promise of India too. None have really delivered on it to the extent. Flipkart, Amazon, YouTube, WhatsApp, they are the most prominent startup ambassadors to India too. But none have really made the kind of money that they make in India one. So India two still lives on promise. But that said, being to see great usage, yet to see great revenue, but it'll come one day.